Hello my little chickpeas, and welcome to this video where I am showing you through my sketchbook, which was for my art and design foundation degree. This is the first two projects, and the first thing I was told to do a project about was lines. So I made a little mood booklet to start with. Just filled it with lots of little things just to give myself inspiration. I took photos, I made poems, just anything I could think of to do with lines, and this is it. So yes, city skylines there. I've got birds on a wire, on a power line, the lines of your heart beating and then fading out, crossing the line with mental health and things, lines in food, just anything I could think of. Lines in science and like maths and stuff, because I was really interested in like black holes and wormholes, and I did science and stuff at A-levels. Yeah, just a mixture of different things just to figure out what I want to do. So yeah, some of it's a little bit rubbish, but it's kind of just experimenting. Just found some things that were, that stuck to the page, and little watercolour skyline and some tree lines. I think they were from Sherwood Forest. And here are some smile lines or laugh lines, and lines from a book that I read, which I recommend to anyone who is struggling with anything in life, like anxiety, depression, or even if you're not clinically, if you're just going through a hard time, that book is really good. Did a loose line drawing and a random drawing of a woman's body with lines to show like the contours and things. And that is that little mood booklet. So that was the first page of my sketchbook. Then I just did a little spider diagram to get all my thoughts down, and a little watercolour painting of some buildings in Barnsley, like the college buildings. I thought that was pretty nice. Just trying to keep everything to do with lines. Did some kind of transport stuff like that. That was a map of all the train lines, and then I put an eye there for some reason. Don't know why. Absolutely hate these pages. Let's just skip past that. But anyway, and I hate this as well. This is just like some photos that I just like cut up and collaged, and this is a club that was called Vibe Line. So yeah. And then this is some transport, like lines of transport, different routes and different transportation you can take. Yeah, just, here's some found things that had lines in them. I really hated this project. I don't know if you can tell, I was kind of stuck, but yes. So I just found things like wires and a barcode that had lines and ribbon and feathers, and yeah, just trying to find things that had lines in them. So on the next page I have my artist books. Well, a little book that I made that I used to research some artists that had done some artwork that included a lot of lines. So this guy had a lot of lines of women's bodies, like contours, and same with this guy. You can see the lines, just artists that have lines in them, and then I just like wrote about them and made cool little backgrounds for this little book. And this guy I really liked, some modern artists, and yeah. So yeah, this is kind of what the foundation degree is like, if you're wondering. It gets a lot better. This first project was awful. I absolutely hated it, like I keep saying. Sorry about my throat. I think I'm still a bit ill. But yeah, so I kind of did some work in the style of this artist, and I ended up doing this little painting, which was inspired by a photo that I took when I went to Paris. I think you can tell that's the Eiffel Tower. So yes, and then I went to Yorkshire Sculpture Park, and I took lots of photos of trees and things, lines in nature, says this page. And then on the other page I did about lines in man-made objects, and I really do love taking photos, so yeah, I quite enjoyed this. I think some of them turned out really nice. On the next page is some more Yorkshire Sculpture Park. I just took some photos of some of the sculptures that I liked and included the little brochure from the place. and we had some observational drawing and painting workshops. We had lots of different workshops on this course, so I just sometimes like did little pages about them in my sketchbook. So in this one I made like a little collage piece. Well, it wasn't little, it was huge. And then this is about the photography workshop. And I have a lot of like flaps in my sketchbook where I explain everything that I did, or explain why I did things and what they represent, or just what the art is about basically. And I really hated this little Photoshop workshop just because this stuff, I don't know, it just didn't look good. I didn't really enjoy it. I mean I guess I got to experiment, and that's what matters. Some rubbings, because we were told to do some rubbings. So yeah, I just tried to get textures that were lined. Metal and enamel workshop, which I enjoyed actually. So did some skylines. Then on here there's just some random stuff, some postcards that I cut up and tried to make into line art. So I don't know, just experimenting again and using some photos of some charcoal drawings that I did on a little chalkboard. And this is a huge group project that we did right at the start of the course, which was like an icebreaker, and we just made a big sculpture out of all these twigs. And it went all on the walls of the classroom. This is just like a double spread page about me trying to come up with ideas for this canvas that I was going to do as a final piece. It didn't end up happening, but I think the ideas were good, so I'm quite happy with these pages, because I just wanted to, I don't know, this is what a sketchbook is about, isn't it? Like, you're meant to just come up with ideas and stuff. So this is a random thing that I want to skip over. It was like meant to be a portrait and it looked awful, like a silhouette. But this is like an illustration workshop, and I used a graphics tablet to kind of draw all these details. So like I drew around the buildings, and I drew around his face, and I don't know, just laid it up in different ways and played around with it a bit on Photoshop. And this is the last little line drawing I did with a graphics tablet, and this was the end of this first project. So this was my logbook and self-evaluation, which I won't go through because it was huge and boring, so I won't torture you. And this was the second project. We were given the title Memory, and then we could do with it whatever we wanted to. So I kind of went for the idea of looking at degradation of memory and Alzheimer's and dementia. So memory loss, and I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books, and took a lot of notes, as you can see. And I also looked at films and made a list of films. And this book was really good. It was quite sad though. So it was actually someone's experience with dementia, like their husband got it when he was quite young, so it was really sad. And then I looked at this guy, who I'm sure a lot of you who do art will already know, and did my own kind of spin on it using an old photo of me and my sister when we used to do ballet when we were really little. And then just looking at more artists and writing about them, and including photos and all that boring stuff that you do when you're like on these kind of courses. And then I looked at this really cool artist who actually kind of painted her own mother, and then I painted my mother, like I painted her eye. And this is the first time I actually painted with acrylics, so I think I did really well for my first time painting with acrylics. And this is a post-neuroscientist, like he used to be a neuroscientist and then he became an artist, and he painted patients' neurons and the brain. And then this is just some research that I did, so I looked at articles that were relevant and just stuck them in. And it actually links on to my next project, which I won't be able to show you guys, but it was about diet and the environment and ethics and how it affects, like everything that we eat, how that affects everything in the rest of the world. It's very big and complex. So yes, look out for that, because there will be a video coming up on my other sketchbook. And I did Shutter Island, so I watched that movie and looked at false memories, and because he's like schizophrenic or something, I think, in the film. And then I painted over some of the movie screenshots, just to make it look like a degraded or like a false memory. And then I took it into Photoshop and played around with it in there, just experimenting. And that's what this whole course was about, really, just trying lots of different materials and ideas and just experimenting. I did some more here, and these are all my own images, and I overlaid them and I don't know, experimented, and a lot of it I really don't like, but sometimes some of it comes out quite good, like this. I think this looked pretty cool, and I kind of thought about making a leaflet about explaining to people and who have like people in their family who have dementia. So I did some little prints here as well, with like an etching. So I've forgotten what kind of printing that's called. And yes, some research again about how the brain like physically changes. Like I didn't realise how badly the brain changes when you have dementia. So here are some mushrooms, because I kind of thought that mushrooms represent degradation and disease. So I used that to kind of visualise Alzheimer's. And this is my second time using acrylics, so again I'm really happy with that, and I really liked using tape on the background to add texture to the painting. Here is another film I watched, Memento, and I really loved how this type looked, and I kind of used water to make all of the ink run down the page, and it looked really cool. So I wrote notes and made a little piece inspired by that film in acrylic again. And just here is some planning for my final piece, which was 6 teeny tiny canvases, and I did some textures for what I was going to put onto the canvases, because I wanted my canvases to be really textured. And these are tracing paper pieces that I used to make screen prints, and I printed some of them onto fabrics. Here are just like some experimentations in different media of mushrooms. So I used pencils, I used pens, I did some cute little watercolour mushrooms, which I'm like really happy with. I think they're really cute. And then I also did some prints, so I chopped up some mushrooms and dipped them in black poster paint and then just printed them on this page, and it made lots of cool little prints with them. And then here I did a timeline of news articles, so I just kind of, over the span of a couple of months, just every day or so, I just kind of looked what was in the news about Alzheimer's or dementia. And then here's some more, just kind of practicing Photoshop and trying to visually represent memories in bloom or nostalgia and things. So and I shouldn't have stuck that on with double-sided tape, because you can see the tape through it now, which isn't that great. Here are some of the screen prints that I did of that girl that you saw earlier. So I kind of drew that on a graphics tablet in Photoshop first, printed it out on tracer paper, and then did it as a screen print. Here is a really bad eye that I painted in acrylic. I was trying to do a more abstract kind of style of painting rather than super realistic. These turned out a lot better. And then this one I really liked. I'm really happy with how this one turned out, but again, I've ruined it by using double-sided sticky tape to stick it to the paper. And this was a big plan that I did for a screen print that I put onto fabric, and then I embroidered some mushrooms into it, which looked pretty cool in the end. And here are just some experimental watercolours I did of some brains. I quite liked how some of them looked, but I don't like the type that I did for that remember. I don't know why I wrote remember, it just kind of ruined it in my opinion. These are like neurons, and made it into a collage. And this is about the movie Away From Her, which is about a woman who suffers from dementia, and it's about her husband's and hers relationship. And he kind of describes her as a house where the lights are all turning off one by one, which is why I drew this in some coloured pencils. And I didn't really like it, but so yeah, I did it in watercolour, and again I didn't really like it, but I took it into Photoshop and then I kind of liked it, so yeah. And then I went and asked lots of people I know, well, 4 people about what they knew about Alzheimer's and dementia, and like what they know now because of my project, and just asked them about my project just for like some research purposes and to make it look good. And this was my final piece. So these are the little canvases. They like really were tiny. They're like the size of my hand, like each one were like the size of my hand pretty much. And then I made some mushrooms out of tissue paper and painted them with acrylics and made it into this piece, which was like a huge wall sculpture thing, representing the memories embedded within like a disease, and they're all degrading slowly over time. Kind of sad. And this is a link to my logbook, which I did through a series of blog posts, and that is it. So I hope that you liked this sketchbook. It's not exactly the best sketchbook, but I think it was interesting to see what I did on my art and design foundation course. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.